The Morgan Report with David Morgan.
David Morgan with you with the weekly perspective for 1st of May, 2020. Well, start off the stock market like I usually do, and for this week, going from earlier in the week until Friday, the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 cleared their 50-day moving averages, and small stocks were having a pretty good rally, and that was earlier in the week. The stocks continued to climb pretty much toward the end of the week, with the S&P approaching their 200-day moving average, and Google and Facebook, those wonderful stocks, continued higher from where they have been in recent days. But today, Friday, Amazon got clobbered pretty well, and it looks like the consumer cyclicals are trending lower as I speak. I think personally that we're probably done for this rally that was taking place off the bottom. I think the 200-day moving average is more or less it. Yes, I know some of these stocks I mentioned are above that, but I looked at them fairly carefully before starting the record button, and none of them seem strong. They all are not that strong a volume and under previous consolidation areas that they'd have to work through to make it into new high territory. So again, I think we are going to see overall a downtrending stock market and an uptrending precious metals market. So I'll leave it at that and move on to the financial news. Well, the first one I'd like to bring your attention is from oilprice.com. Italian car sales plunged 98% in April. I mean, this almost looks like a comic book headline, to think that something could plunge almost 100% in 1 month, but this is the facts. Can't get much more of a worst-case scenario in auto sales than watching numbers plunge to an astounding 98%, but that's exactly what happened with new car sales in Italy, which remains mostly on lockdown for the first 24 hours of April this year. You read the whole article. I think this, the headline says enough. From This Week in Asia, coronavirus, more than 1 in 5 Singapore firms looking to slash jobs. This is an area that Chris Martenson, who I'm sure a lot of my listeners know of, lots of respect for Chris in so many areas. But, Singapore is one of the ones that he had brought to our attention, was really pretty good on this whole coronavirus situation, and yet here we have it where even they are going to be slashing like 20%, possibly. I'm just taking the 1 in 5, which is 20%. You can read the article. More than 1 in 5 firms in Singapore are actively considering cutting their workforce as a result of the coronavirus. From the AP, with European economy in record drops, central banks give aid. Frankfurt, Germany, European Central Bank is stepping up its efforts to cushion the economy against a record downturn. That bank's president, Christine Lagarde, said it was of a magnitude and speed that are unprecedented in peacetime. Don't we know, Christine? Thank you. The Monetary Authority for the 19 countries that use the euro currency on Thursday lowered the interest rate on the cheap long-term loans it provides to banks. It also offered a raft of new credit lines to banks at a negative interest rate, meaning banks get paid a bonus as an incentive to borrow and lend. Next up is from CBS News, and from what I just highlighted, we know that the banks are going to be taken care of, but from CBS, millions of Americans can't afford food, rent, and other basics, report finds. The coronavirus systemic hit on the U.S. economy is rattling people's finances. Roughly 41% of working-age adults say their families have experienced a job loss, a decrease in work hours, or other employment-related declines in income in recent weeks, according to new analysis by the Urban Institute. Underscoring the jump in financial distress around the country, more than 4 in 10 Americans whose work was affected by the pandemic said they weren't able to pay the rent, mortgage, or utility bills, skipped medical care, or were at risk of going hungry. So as long as the banks are getting the money, it doesn't seem that there's a lot of concern about the actual day-to-day people, but that's just 2 articles. I'm sure you can form your own opinion. Next article is from Consortium News, COVID-19, the beginning of the end for oil. I read this article and I'm not going to read it. Basically, it talks about going from oil and gas and coal into the new future with green energy. And I'm going to pause there and I'm going to show you something about my website that I want you to consider, especially this weekend if you have the time. So you can and should or could read this article, and I think it's a good basis because this is sort of what the mainstream has to say about energy. And then after that, I would like you to do the following. Come back to the Morgan Report and go to the blog part of the website. And then up here on the right top, it's hard to see, but these icons. So right here is the YouTube channel. So if you click that, it'll take you directly to my YouTube channel. And when you get there, there's all the videos I do every week like this one, or a lot of them are audios, and of course you can go through them. But once you're on the YouTube channel, the Morgan Report, I want you to come over to the community. When you click on the community, these are posts that I have posted that I think are of vital importance to anyone that wants to know what's really going on. So I just posted this, and I just labeled it green, 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 and it must be seen. And I'm not a big fan of Michael Moore, but I got to give credit where credit is due. He wasn't in this movie. He just was financially involved. But this movie by Jeff Gibbs, Planet of the Humans, is, in my view, an hour and 40 minutes, probably the best hour and 40 minutes you'll ever spend to learn the truth about green energy. This pulls no punches. It's all on fact, and it'll give a completely different look at what I just read you in my weekly update here, my weekly perspective. Because again, the powers that be, the mainstream press, seem to have this alternative energy situation where all's going to be wonderful. We might have to cut back some, but green's the way to go, and it's really going to be a big value to humans. Well, this movie, again, this Planet of Humans, watch it and understand it. Watch it twice, watch it 3 times, and pass it on, because this is vitally important. If you are in favor of sustainable development, and I'm not against it, I'm just for the truth. And the truth is that this green energy thing is not what it is being purported to be. And I think it's important that everybody get the full picture, both sides of the coin, and then determine what the truth is. This is from USA Today, from their money section. No income and number 88,000 in line. That's what it's like to be unemployed in America. The Department of Labor, it's either busy or gives you a recording or just hangs up on you if you call them. It's a common complaint. State unemployment system has been crushed under the weight of record-breaking 30 million Americans who have filed claims in the last 6 weeks. And I think you get the idea. You can read the article. It's pretty short. But what I'd like to comment on is, as objective as this article is, and that's rare in my view for the USA Today, Americans, for the most part, have it better off. I know I'm not trying to downplay the hardship. What I'm trying to convey is that there are food banks. They're giving out food. There are some small business loans that are going to the banks. But nonetheless, something is attempted. But in other less developed countries, there's nothing. I mean, these people have absolutely zero help. There's already been, civil unrest, to put in polite terms. And this thing isn't going away anytime soon, in my view. I do think that the quote-unquote lockdown will be mitigated here shortly in most states, but that doesn't absolve all the damage that's been done, which is going to be far greater than most analysts will talk about, tell you, or project, because the math is not as straightforward. 8% of the silver market has been disrupted because 1 month's supply is out of the system because of the shutdown. It's not that simple. It's a complex system, and almost everything in the supply chain, for everything from an iPhone to the food chain, is a complex system today. So there's a lot going on that most don't think through, that will have vast consequences to the majority of people living on this planet. And from Reuters, Shanghai gold boss wants super sovereign currency for post-crisis times. The president of the Shanghai Gold Exchange called for a super sovereign currency to offset the global dominance of the U.S. dollar, which he predicted would decline long-term as gold prices rally. Concern is mounted among market participants over the dollar-denominated system as the U.S. Federal Reserve cut interest rates to near zero and embarked on unlimited quantitative easing to contain the economic damage of the coronavirus pandemic. Let me pause there, and I want to turn to the fact that I am going to publish the May edition of the Morgan Report this month, and I am not going to read you the whole thing, but I will tell you that for you that are following my work and are not paid subscribers, that's fine. I'm not really trying to, ask for your money. What I am going to convey is those that can easily afford it and really want to stay on top of the situation. I'm going to read you a little bit about what I wrote this month because I haven't gone this deep in a while. In fact, probably ever, as far as where this thing is leading. And so what I say, and I'm well into the editorial as I start right now, we will see a worldwide monetary reset that is near due to the COVID-19 panic. There seems to be a deliberate destruction of the monetary order happening on a worldwide scale. Again, these are my words out of the May edition of the Morgan Report. It's not even published yet. I just finished editing it. Most of the people working to defeat the cabal and end the Fed are in the U.S. military. It seems that what I have written could be fantasy, yet it also seems the time is nearing or is nearly here to release the prosperity funds from this world trust called NESARA. The NESARA funds will be used to buy out all oil corporations, banks, and pharmaceutical cartels and zero out all debt. Once all of those funds are paid out, the remaining funds will be distributed to the people. Here's the plan. It's a total of, 12 bullet points or so. Forgive all mortgage, bank debt, and credit card debt. Eliminate the Federal Reserve. Abolish income taxes. Abolish the IRS. Create flat rate, non-essential new items only sales tax. Drastically increase benefits to seniors. Return to true constitutional law. Establish new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days. And on it goes. It sounds too good to be true, and it probably is. What I'm trying to convey here is what the next step is, the old problem, reaction, solution, the solution that everyone is really focused on about everyone's going to get vaccinated, and that's the plan. That's the distraction to implement this plan that I read part of that seems really, really good. Remember, even the elect are probably going to be deceived, and I go into that in this month's report. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm not trying to do a big sales pitch here. I just want people to know that I've never subscribed to, my personal best, if you want to call it that, for the people that, create a living for me and the people that work with me. That's what I'm going into this month. So there it is. I wish everyone a happy and joyous weekend, and hopefully a lot of states and other places around the world will come out of this quote-unquote lockdown in the near future. But again, things will never be the same. Or should I say, maybe not never, but probably not in several lifetimes. So that's it. Remember, there's nothing more powerful than the truth. The truth works always and everywhere. Don't be afraid to speak the truth. Don't be afraid to seek the truth. And with that, I will be back with you next week.